Hello, Planeswalkers. Welcome back to the next episode of the Lotus Archives, where Commander is chaotic. Our mana rocks, well, they're starting to be mostly retired. Join us as we dust off the Thought Vessel, whisper our apologies to Chromatic Lantern, and we ask ourselves, did anyone actually play Dreamstone Hedron? Let's get started here. All right, Jack.
Little bit on that one. I used to play Dreamstone Hedron. I played it quite a bit back in the day. That's the thing, right? Back in the day, we played those. Not so much anymore.
I mean,
We've got...
we'll start off right now with that Dreamstone Hedron, just because that might be a card some of our younger listeners and newer players might not know what it is.
Yeah.
So I'll put it right on the board. And we're gonna pause. That's why it happened. Okay. So Dreamstone Hedron is on the board now, and Dreamstone Hedron is a whopping 6-drop, and it is tap, add 3 colorless to your mana pool, or 3 and tap, sacrifice Dreamstone Hedron, draw 3 cards. Nowadays, a 6-drop for 3 mana, I'd probably not be playing this card here. But Jack, why did you play it back in the
that's
day?
a loss. So, I used to play Dreamstone Hedron in old school Eldrazi decks when we pretty much just only had like the original Titans and some random other colorless things. It was in there next to Hedron Archive, which is basically a lesser version of it. It costs 2 less, gives you only 2 mana, and for 2 and tap it, you sack it to draw 2 cards, rather than pay 3, sack it, draw 3 cards for the Dreamstone. The Hedron Archive was a little bit of a lesser version, but I would play both in like a colorless style deck where, you know, your options were kind of limited, right? No one I ever knew would play Dreamstone Hedron in any kind of other deck.
No.
You know, it was really just like, it was a cool niche thing to put in if you really wanted the mana boost. And at the time we saw it, it was like, oh crap, we can drop this down to taps for 3? That's insane. But nowadays you've got, I mean, even not too long after, we had Thran Dynamo, which for 4 mana, it generates the same amount.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it doesn't draw you cards. That's the thing, is like, the Dreamstone Hedron was like a nice big, kind of like Mind Stone, where it's like, yeah, you can get your, you know, stuff back for later on to draw a bunch of cards if you're in a bind. But then you're also losing a mana rock that gives you 3 colorless mana. So, bit of a tough thing to sacrifice on a whim.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
for me
that.
personally, the only time I ever really saw Hedron there was in colorless decks. You're not going to put that in your Elf Ball deck.
No, you simply wouldn't.
But, alright,
But
so...
now, like, we've got much better options to, you know, run in the colorless decks. We've seen much better options in terms of different mana rocks. Like, there are plenty of 2 to 3 mana rocks that you can run in your decks now in lower that just work better. Plus all the utility lands that we got.
Oh, God. And these utility lands, 9 times out of 10, these are the lands that are the reason we're not playing a lot of these mana rocks anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Most mana rocks that are at least, I would say, 3 and above in terms of mana cost. Like, that's the main thing, right? They've all pretty much been replaced by utility lands, modal dual face lands, things that offer more versatility in your deck.
I mean,
essentially.
To look at it, cards like Mox Amber and the Moxes, those will always have a place. They're 0 cost.
Absolutely, yeah. 0 drops are always going to be your those are your creme de la creme, piece de resistance style things, and like your cards like Grim Monolith and stuff like that. Those rightfully belong in the CEDH realm.
Yes. I mean, got cards like Soul Ring, Grim Monolith, Arcane Signet is usually pretty popular.
Arcane Signet is fantastic. So Soul Ring and Arcane Signet do belong in pretty much every deck. I know I've seen people argue for putting them in, well, at least putting Arcane Signet into monocolor decks. I typically don't, depending on the deck.
Yeah.
It is in my Urza deck just to have an extra 2-drop piece of ramp, just because mono blue doesn't have much in terms of ramps, so it's good to have that in there. But if it's like a mono green deck or mono black or any of the other colors, really, I could see an argument for white. But the main key thing is like if there's better utility and better stuff that you can run to ramp out your mana, that's kind of where we see the number of mana rocks dip recently, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me personally, I won't run Arcane in a monocolor deck. Very
Mm-hmm.
niche circumstances. Running an
Yeah.
artifact heavy deck, I might throw it in there just for an extra artifact. It's another land drop, essentially.
Right. And
Whereas
it's
you
two
got,
for one. It's a good deal.
yeah. Whereas, like, Chromatic Lantern, we were having this discussion earlier before we got on the show here.
Yep.
Chromatic Lantern versus Felwar Stone. And I will put those both right up. They both do a very similar thing. They help fix your mana curve. Or not mana curve, but your mana
Your mana
sources.
sources, your color, yeah, they help you get to where you need to be.
I know, based on our conversation, Jack prefers Felwar Stone to CMC,
Mm-hmm.
whereas I prefer running the Chromatic Lantern. The way I look at it is Chromatic Lantern fixes my lands. I can, if I have 5 lands on the board and all 5 of them are forests and I'm running a Golgari deck, if I have Chrome Lantern on there, now I have my black lands. And I could use all 5 for black if I really need to. Whereas with Felwar Stone, it's only 1. And you can only tap the Felwar Stone. Which,
That's true.
it doesn't make it a bad card. It's
No, so like that's a preface. Like none of these are like inherently bad. I mean, there are bad mana rocks out there, but
do
for the
not
most
use the
part, most of
talismans.
these talismans.
I hate the talismans.
What's wrong with the talismans?
I
I was
never
gonna vouch for the talismans,
see personally. I never use them. Like
like the ones that tap for a colorless or can tap for a mana or and do you a damage.
yeah, usually choose
What?
not to use them. I've
Bro,
only
what?
yeah, I usually not. I'm usually against using them in decks I build. Mostly
If I'm running a 3-color deck, I usually put at least 2 of them in there.
let me preface
Maybe all
this.
3.
I'll preface this by saying I don't use them unless the colors that I'm using don't have a lot of ramp. So if I'm not
Okay.
running green, yeah, okay. I'll throw the talismans
Ah.
in there if I'm not running green. But if I'm running green, I'd rather use that slot for Llanowar Elves, Birds of Paradise, any of the
That's true.
multitude of
Yes.
ramping green. That's not going to cause me damage.
True. Yeah. So if you do have, like, if you are playing I mean, even in my Golgari deck, I have, the Talisman of Resilience in my Golgari deck. I think that they're decent early game ramp that if you're able to pull off the turn 1 Soul Ring, they can get you there just as well as an Arcane Signet.
I don't
So
disagree on that.
I look at them as they can be very potent in like their 2-color deck combinations, like the Talisman of Conviction for Boros, I think works really well.
That was
For
one thing.
some 3-color decks,
That's one thing I was gonna say.
yeah. So
As
like,
you know, Boros doesn't have much card draw.
it's getting up there in some,
Yeah,
but they are lacking in their stuff. So having extra pieces of ramp is very good.
I will say my Anim Pakal deck, I do run Talisman of Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the only decks that I currently play that I do run a Talisman in. But
Well, now, so what about the signets though?
oh,
The Golgari signet, the Izzet signet. I personally like those as well. I think they're much better. I think you're much better off running some of those than you are even a Chromatic Lantern. As if you've got, say again, like something like Soul Ring or even, a Basalt Moth or a Thran Dynamo with some of the signets, that can tap for multiple mana and give you doubled up on the colors you need.
the only thing
So,
I have against the signets as opposed to the talismans, I would put a talisman in my deck before I would put a signet. Because the way
fair.
I look at it with the signets, you're tapping a land just to be able to get 2.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially you're only getting 1. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things.
True.
So
But now if you've got a talisman plus a signet, now you can just tap the. Now you're basically just tapping them to get the
Captain
colors you
Colorless
need.
and get signet.
To get the mana fixing, right? Because
Yeah.
each one taps for 2 of that color combination, right? Like the Rakdos taps for red black and so
Yep.
on and so forth for the guilds. So my big thing is usually in 2-color decks, typically not above. Like this is for like dual color decks. Like if you're running a deck of those colors in that guild set or whatever, I would always say to run these 2 mana rocks as opposed to pretty much anything else. Right? Get your like these are the ones that I put in every deck to help with the mana fixing, and then to go into things like utility lands or some modal dual faces maybe to help with that. But that's about the only ramp I do.
Yeah, I guess how I explained it was a little wrong.
That's all right. No, it's
I-
your preference for how you build. That's
Yeah,
That's part of the
will
discussion,
use
'cause I-
them in 2-color decks. Anything over 2,
Yeah.
I shy away from them because there's better ways.
I can agree with that because I usually will, depending on, because it always depend on the decks, right? Like the
Yeah.
new World Seed Jund land deck that just came out. I have no talismans, or I don't even think I run any signets in that. And that's kind of the main gist of it, right? Like when do you? It's not like so much about not running them because they're bad cards, or like for replacing them for a form of consistency.
Yep.
I think it is. Right, 'cause I know I posted like the key takeaway was that like they're just being swapped out for things that can give better things into lower and have like lower cost of value pieces that fit your deck in particular. Like an Elf Ball deck has pretty much 0 mana rocks. Like I think I threw a Soul Ring in there
Yeah.
just because it's Soul Ring. So like, there's no reason to not run a Soul Ring. It's positive mana. It's 1 for 2. It's I know some people that say they take Soul Ring out of decks, and I don't know what to say to those guys. I don't know. It boggles my brain, but you do you.
Yeah. No.
I couldn't imagine not running Soul Ring.
is in every single one of my decks I build.
It's in every precon. Like there's a reason they print it with every precon.
Arcane Signet is in every multicolor deck I build. No
Yeah,
question.
I think they've started putting it in precons too.
Yeah.
So if we look at the precon constructions as like the template as they're supposed to be for looking at the mana rocks to run and not to run, you can see for the most part they always have Arcane Signet, they always have Soul Ring. Occasionally they'll have some of the signets, like the guild signets occasionally. I usually take those out of 3-color decks though.
So the one,
Like we're saying, yeah.
I actually did some research on this, and because I was trying to figure out like what mana rocks were dominant in pre-con construction back when I first started playing 10, 15 years ago now. And I went through and I looked at all the deck lists compared to the deck lists today,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a few cards that were almost in every single deck back then.
Okay.
One of the big ones was Commander Sphere.
Yep. Commander Sphere is definitely one that we used to see a lot of.
I don't really see it
Not so much these days.
anymore.
No.
Thought Vessel was another one.
Yep. Thought Vessels. Well, that's a relatively. Is that newish? That's.
Well, it was 2016.
Yeah, so that one. Crap, that's almost 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Fuck, I'm old. I'm an old man.
But then you got cards.
We
like
didn't have Thought Vessel when I was a kid.
No, but then we got like Darksteel Ignite, which
Yep, Darksteel Ingot was around when I was playing. We had a lot of those.
I mean,
That was a must-have. Like
Yeah.
that one was
now
that was a staple. Like if you wanted a good any color mana rock, that's what you played.
Yep.
You played the Darksteel Ingot, you played the Chromatic Lantern, and anything that was more than 2 colors. That's just what you played.
Yep.
But then we got the Arcane Signet, and then we got the Thought Vessel, and then more talismans became more popular, and it was just like everything else just fell by the wayside.
So a
And
couple
you
of the
just-
other
you don't
ones that I
see-
did see that. I was
Yeah,
like,
what else did you see?
Wow, that was in almost every precon that I have. Assault Monolith,
Yep.
Felwar Stone,
Yeah, see, that's still a good one.
Unstable Obelisk,
Yeah, I'd never see that one anymore.
Worn Power Stone.
Worn Power Stone is one that I have seen a couple people play,
It's very niche.
but yeah,
though.
not too frequently, as it does come in tapped, which is a fair detriment to not play it.
Like, not little side note, because when I wrote this list, I was originally looking at, we were talking about doing all former staples, and we realized how long that fucking list will be.
This is a pretty big list, yeah.
Two of the other ones that I was surprised to see was Sarah Angel,
Mm-hmm.
which used to be a fucking monster card. Now it's not much.
Now you just see it in some precons, yeah.
Nevin Jarl's Disc. I remember when I first started building my own decks, Nev's Disc was one of the always auto-includes
Yep.
for board wipes. I can't remember the last
It was
time
a
I
good
actually-
classic board wipe.
I can't remember the last time I actually put Nev's Disc in a deck.
I avoid running it these days in favor of. We've just gotten better board wipes.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've got things like Damn, Farewell. Just like there's just so many new board wipes we've gotten that kind of just do the job better. And as I think when Planeswalkers became a thing, that kind of sealed the fate almost for Nev Disc for that artifact, as it doesn't hit Planeswalkers. Right? It was printed during a time when the Planeswalker wasn't really a card that existed. Like, it just wasn't there. So as that type became more popular and people started playing more of those in their decks, Nev they're just better board wipes to play.
All right, so
They kind of got power crept out.
yeah. So speaking of older cards that have kind of been power crept out for mana rocks, what are your thoughts on the diamonds? Moss Diamond, Charcoal Diamond,
So-
Fire Diamond.
I was gonna bring those up as well. Yeah, the diamonds are good in certain niche things, as they are 2 mana rock, right? They're 2-drop mana rocks, which are always. I'm gonna die on the hill that 2 mana rocks are always gonna be more optimal than other ones, and since these ones come into play tapped, they are good in monocolored decks that can make use of them.
Yes.
Typically, I will put, I have a Charcoal Diamond in my black deck. I have a Fire Diamond in my red deck. I don't play the other 3.
No.
I don't play the white, blue, and green ones because, well, for one, blue has a crap ton of card draw, so you're going to draw into lands.
Mm-hmm.
White has even gotten a fair bit of land ramp with things like Land Tax, Knight of the White Orchid, and if you're playing a mono white deck, funny enough, you can actually ramp out not too bad in that color these days. I mean, hell, I've seen our one guy David in our Discord chat. Like the dude he purposefully made a white ramp deck just to spite us when we were talking about how white had no ramp in it when we first started. Like the dude was just like, hold my beer, watch me make a ramp deck in white and make y'all eat shit, and he did, and it was insane.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I feel
and
like
green is just you don't need it in green.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Like I understand why they.
I don't care what your green deck is. You can play it in a Wooburg deck if you want to have all 5 in a Wooburg deck. Go for it, but there's better options.
Even then, if you put all 5 in a Wooburg deck, unless you're drawing all 5 in your opening hand, there's better options.
Absolutely, like,
and even with lands.
Oh yeah, I mean you can run the talismans, you can run the signets, you can run like Mind Stone, which is always a solid piece. Thought Vessel, of course, is always good. Things like that. Actually, I would even run something like Star Compass, which is a very cool kind of thing that's just a 2-drop, and it can tap for any color that a land you control would produce, that a basic land you have. So, although Star Compass is a little bit of a niche thing because you do have to have a basic land in play to make it work. So that one is a little on the tougher side. But there's just better choices to run out there than, any of those other things. Like if you're running a big multicolored deck, Obsidian Obelisk. Just play that. It comes in tapped, sure. It can tap for a colorless, but then you could also tap a mana to play a multicolored spell. And if you're in Wooburg, odds are you're playing a crap ton of multicolored spells. Yeah. So, yeah. There's just better things. Like Kaleidostone is good to give you Wooburg. So there's a lot of cool old niche things. Like if you're ever looking for some really funny, just random mana rocks, just, Google up mana rocks of MTG and you'll get a whole list of all the different ones that have been printed.
There's
and
so many.
It's a cool thing. I got a tab open for it right now. Yeah, it's crazy how many there, like just old school ones that exist that nobody plays anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got the 0 cost mana rocks. They're always gonna be great.
Yep.
But they are so freaking expensive now.
They can be, yeah, like Mox Amber is up there, Mox Opal, Chromox, crap like that.
Yeah. I mean, then you got cards like Lion's Eye Diamond and Lotus Petal, which the average person is not going to be dropping $500+ for a piece of cardboard. I love Magic.
I mean,
I'm probably not dropping that much for a card.
I had a playlist of Lotus Petals when they weren't that expensive from my Legacy days.
But
I do run... Yeah, I grabbed those way back, quite some time ago.
But you're not going to run them. You're not going to go out and buy them now.
No, I wouldn't buy any more, no. I have one Lotus Petal in... I think it's my Urza deck.
Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I run one Lotus Petal in there just for an extra little bit of fast mana. There might also be one in my Slicer deck. Has one as well. But that's really about it. And that's also because like Lotus Petal in an Urza deck might as well just be a Chromox. So
yeah,
or like a Mox. The hell is it? Like a Mox Sapphire is basically what that is in an Urza deck. So
I'm looking.
Always good to run those.
I'm looking at this right now, and there's some older cards that I've personally never seen played, and it's the Egg Cycle. You got Darkwater Egg, Mossfire Egg, Shadowblood Egg, Skycloud Egg, and Sungrass Egg. I'm going to put those up on the board right now, just because I've personally never even seen these cards. It looks like they're from 93, but like the artwork is cool.
The artwork is cool on them, but I don't think anybody would ever play these.
No, because you got to sacrifice it.
Yep.
But you draw a card from it and you get the 2. But like it's
a bit of a, I don't know. they're awkward to use because you're spending. Because we want to look at it this way, right? We want to look at mana utility and see what you're getting for your value, right? Which this is what makes Soul Ring so good is you pay 1 and you get 2. So when you're looking at these eggs, right, you pay 1 to cast it, you pay 2 to activate it, and you only get 2 mana out of it. So you're losing 1. You're going into a net. You're in a no negative.
Mm-hmm.
Like sure, you're drawing a card, but I mean that could be a land that you could play maybe if you haven't made your land drop yet. But the circumstances are so they fluctuate so much with that I just don't see them being used over something like the signets, right? Like the guild signets that we have nowadays. You pay 1 to get it, you pay 1 to activate it, you get 2 mana out of it. That's a net pot. That's you're getting your value out of that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see these like where they started and then where we are now. Like here's where it was, and then they took that and they're like, okay, let's revamp it, let's upgrade it, let's make it easier to use.
Yeah, I mean, older cards, I mean, something that we didn't mention, like, obviously we talked about the signets and those, but we didn't talk about the lockets. We didn't talk about the clue stones. Yep. We didn't talk about key runes.
There's just better options to play apart from those, right? Like, I mean, those are those are good budget options. I mean, they're all budget though. Like, they're all really cheap. Most mana rocks aren't going to run you more than a few bucks, depending on what they are. So, but if you're looking to not go crazy with them, then yeah, you can play. You can run the keystones and the others, and get yourself the mana fix you need if that's all you got available. It'll get you there. They're not bad cards to run. But you'd want to swap those out eventually for the better pieces.
I mean,
yeah.
Mana rocks are tough because obviously everyone has their own opinion on them. But there's just some that are so much freaking better than others, and some that aren't. Running. Like we were talking about the MDFC lands. I probably butchered that.
Yeah, those are
MDFC, something like that.
The modal dual face cards. Yeah, they add a bunch of utility because they can either act as a land or they can be a spell or extra piece of value for you depending on the deck and depending on which one of them you run. There's just far too many to even start the list here. However, there's so many that can provide such solid pieces for you that, why would you run a Celestia Clue Stone when you could place a potential other piece of ramp spell, or that could also just be a land for you that gives you the mana you are already going to get for no cost, right? Like instead of paying 3 mana to potentially get something else, you can just slap that land down and then you're good. You've got the mana right there and then.
Yeah, I mean, probably for the MDFC, the best ones are the pathway ones. Essentially, example, the first one that I just pulled up here from Kalheim was Bark Channel Pathway and Tide Channel Pathway. When you draw that, you can choose, okay, do I need green mana right now or do I need blue? And you can just put it down.
Yeah. Those are great.
And you have
I love to play those. I love those ones.
Yeah. They're very solid, and they have them for, looks like, every color combination, I believe. I think.
Yep.
But then you got cards like Jawari Disruption with Jawari Ruins. One side's a counterspell, one side's a land.
That's perfect. Maybe you've got your land drop and you're just holding on to that to see maybe I need to counter a spell. Or if not, then you just get a land. So
exactly.
They're very good for that. Now, what's funny is that there's a cycle of value mana rocks that we don't see much And I'm slightly curious as to why, and those are the border posts.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen the border posts in a long time.
I played some of them in a modern deck, but essentially they all share. They're only in. Let me see. I think they're only in the blue white. So they're in Azorius, Gruul, Demir, Rakdos, and Selesnya. There might be others in other colors that they just don't have listed here. But essentially, they all share the same thing of you can pay one, return a basic land to your hand, and then you can basically play the border post for free. Or you just play it and it comes in tapped. So if you're running, say, like a landfall deck, these could actually be really solid for you to run in a deck that cares about making land drops, as opposed to something else. So I've honestly be looking at these and the Firewild and the Vanefire, like the Gruul and Rakdos ones.
Oh yeah.
I might put those in that World Seed deck. As those they care about making land drops in that deck, and these let you bounce the land back to your hand, for free basically, for just one, and that's it.
Like
So if you got something like the
yeah, like I was just gonna say, those will be very good in a landfall matters deck, lands matter deck. Um, like you said, your world seed deck. For me,
yep,
because I'm in the process of trying to build up all my decks, there's a good chance I'm gonna be putting those right in my landfall deck that I built. Not sure what my commander's gonna be yet, but it's gonna have green in it at the very least.
yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, there's a Choco deck I might build, and I'll probably run the Field Mist and the Wild Field border posts in them just because the deck wants landfall. So
exactly.
and these are like the cool niche things that you can run depending on the deck you're building. Right? Like it's depending on what you're doing, depending on how you want to run these, you can do what you want to do with them. But there are better options. Right? Now, one cycle that I did used to play quite a bit that I just found again is the Ramos cycle.
Okay, I saw those and I've never
Yep.
seen them personally.
So these are ones that I used to play a lot. This was before we got the actual card Ramos. This was our first mention of who the hell this Ramos dragon was. So you got the
looks
eye.
like the 5 parts of Exodia here.
Essentially, yeah. Like you've got his eye, you've got the heart, the horn, the skull, and the tooth. So, blue, red, green, black, and white, basically. They're 3 mana. You play them, you can tap them for, their color respectively. But then you can also sacrifice them to get that mana again. So these are really cool ways to tap it for the mana that tap it for its blue, and then sacrifice it for blue again, or for whatever color it taps for.
So you can get 2 right then and there if you really need to.
You can, for 3 you can get 2. So again, it's a negative, but it was the best we had at the time, right? So you could play a Soul Ring turn 1, play this turn 2, and then potentially drop a cool 3-drop in that same turn. Right, you could tap the other land, like say you make your land drop, you got a Soul Ring and 2 lands, tap the Soul Ring in the land, play a thing of Ramos, and then you can either save that for the next turn and play something huge, or do something else with them in forms of that ramp as well. So, but I would play I have Ramos in whatever blue deck I had, as it would just it can also give you counterspell mana.
Yeah.
Right, say you're tapped out in your blue deck. And your opponent looks at your board and is like, oh, you've only got that 1 mana rock. I'm going to play this big, crazy, try to win spell. And then you're like, no. Tap it for a blue, sack it for a blue, counterspell. And then you just see the color leave their face, and they're like, but
Exactly.
I thought I had it. Like, no, you didn't. I pulled that trick so many times. It's fucking wild. So Ramos Cycle is one that you could you could run those in a monocolor deck if you want to be cheeky with it and play something fun like that. That's an older cycle that I wouldn't mind seeing make a comeback.
Or you can run all 5 in a Ramos Dragon Engine deck.
You could. You could do that because they give you, if you have all 5 in play, they give you Progenitus mana.
Yep.
So like they all can give you basically, mana for Progenitus, which is really funny. But these are all just, rocks they've played. They've made these for flavor mostly. The things like the Tarkir monuments, the banners.
I will say ones that I usually use frequently is the obelisks. Sort of Naya, Jund, Grixis, Esper, and Bant. I will throw those in there. 3 mana.
Those are good to run in. Yeah, those are good to run your 3 mana decks. That can just get you your mana right off the rip.
Yeah.
And they're 3 for 3, so I know I probably sound like a broken record with the getting your mana's worth out of it, but that really is what you want to look at when it comes to like picking what mana rocks to run in your deck, and along with like why some of them just aren't seen in most decks, right? If you're not getting your mana's worth out of it, like if you're not breaking even or being positive with your mana production with them, then that's really where they kind of fall off in that they're just not as good. Like Dreamstone Hedron, I'm paying 6 and only getting 3.
Yeah.
That there's no when you compare that to so many other rocks we have out now, and even other ones that have been printed, there's no reason to run that really.
I mean, with the with those ones, you also have the banners.
Yep.
Your banners. Those are solid if you're in those colors. 3 for 3 plus.
They also can let you draw a card, so those are good.
The Tarkir monuments, I don't really use too much. I prefer the banners.
Right.
Key runes. I don't think I can say I've ever put a key rune in a deck. Personally,
I used to when they were first printed. I think I put a couple in to be on flavor with, those decks. Like, I want to run the Azorius deck, so I'm going to put all the Azorius stuff in there to be, flavorful or whatever, or be on theme. However, it's 3 mana. You can only get 1 mana out of it. That's like super negative in the thing, so that's... they try to... you see this a lot with these 3 mana rocks that only produce 1 or 2 mana. They often will have another piece of utility attached to them, like, sacrifice, draw a card is usually what they try to go for, or like with the monuments, they can turn into dragons. But I just don't see that as being worthwhile enough to run them. It's like if you want a mana source that can turn into a creature, play the animate lands.
Yes.
Play the lands that can turn into creatures over that, like the Raging Ravine and cards like that can you tap a couple mana. They're oftentimes cheaper to get them online as opposed to these monuments or whatever other artifact exists that can turn into that. Like the key runes. The key runes could turn into, creatures as well, which just isn't. Oftentimes it's just not that worth it.
No. So, mana rocks, are they here to stay?
Oh, absolutely.
Most likely. But to end it all,
and I would definitely say that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, just like to always look out for you want that nice balance. Right, of you want to have enough mana sources to make the deck work and then not be flooded out, but then to also not be screwed out of your mana as well. So I mean, I typically only run like 6 to 7 mana rocks, but you can be good with 8 to 10. I would say is probably the sweet spot. I don't know. Where do you usually sit on your number of rocks in your decks?
I'm pretty similar to you. It depends on the
Yeah,
deck. Um, Artifact decks, I usually go a little bit more heavier. Same with
right. You can.
decks that I don't have access to easier mana ramp. I usually tend to
Hmm.
go a little bit heavier, um,
Yeah,
just because I don't want to hurt myself. Um,
right.
like in my Miram deck, I don't run that many, but I also have a lot of ramp, a lot of ramp. But
Oh yeah, for sure. Like decks that can like if you have like Simic in your deck, if you're running a Team Mirror or even just a straight Simic or Bant or whatever, the amount of land ramp you have access to makes it almost silly to put in more than maybe 4 to 5 mana rocks, if even, if even that. There was one. So one cycle I did want to touch on though real quick was the medallions.
yes,
So medallions are on. I will also argue this point too. Medallions are good in any monocolor deck. No matter what the monocolor deck's theme is or strategy is, every single one of them should run a medallion as it reduces the cost of your spells.
yes, I
So cost
100%
reducers are
agree.
always good, no matter what. And they're only 2 mana. So it's 2 mana, drop the medallion, make your stuff cheaper, always play them. I see some lists out there that don't always run the medallions in monocolor decks, and I, what, you take your crazy pill that day? I mean, come on. It's practically free mana,
I mean,
you know?
even in some two color decks, I'll run both medallions, depending on the deck.
Depending on, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
But yeah, that's always
yeah,
mana reduction of any kind. Like cost reductions are always good,
yes.
so they should be played. Like even in my elf ball deck, right? My mono green deck, I still have the emerald medallion.
Oh yeah, it's a
Just
huge help.
I still get some utility out of it. Oh yeah, I can spend the extra mana on something else. So
Bingo.
always good to play.
So we got some new spoilers. Spider-Man is coming up at the end of next month, and
We got some good stuff, man.
I know we talked about Spider-Man our last episode here, but tooting our own horn a little bit, we were
Called it.
spot on. We are also getting a flip Norman Osborn and a flip Eddie
Yep.
Brock in the exact
And
colors
what colors
we
did we say?
said.
Yeah.
um,
It's okay to be, to acknowledge when,
I mean,
premonition is quite the gift.
yeah. I mean, Norman Osborn, I was pretty much 100%. I'm like, if they do Norman Osborn, he's going to be Grixis.
Absolutely. Man's just
And
got to be. He's got to be some kind of scientist and some
yeah,
kind of crazy conniving.
got to have some
I
blue in
love that we
there.
got connive.
Oh my god.
Connive is good. I really like him. So yeah, he's got connive. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, he connives. He's 2 in a blue, or he 1 in a blue. Sorry. So he's 2 mana. Only a 1/1. He can't be blocked, which is cool. I like that they made him unblockable,
That's
so that he can
interesting.
get the connive. And I was looking at this earlier, and the one thing to note with the transformations, right, kind of similar to like if a werewolf transforms, it's still the same card, right? It doesn't
Hmm.
leave the field. So I think one of the best ways to play Norman is to actually get him down early, start swinging, start conniving, build up your graveyard a bit for a few turns, and then flip him over to Green Goblin with all those counters on him, and then just start going to town with Green Goblin and just reanimating a bunch of shit.
Yes. I 100% agree. That's how I
Yeah,
would build them. Um,
that's absolutely what I would do. Yeah.
then we also got Eddie Brock. He
Now
is.
this is the one I'm more excited for this one
I figured
than
you
I am
were,
Green Goblin.
but
I was always a bigger Venom fan
oh, Venom's a
than I
badass.
was Green Goblin. I loved Black Suit Spider-Man. Bro, when we got Spider-Man 3, when I was a kid, when we were kids, and we saw Black Suit Spider-Man and then we saw Venom for the first time. I know that movie's a bit of a people have their says about it, but
Oh, you don't like
I
Tobey
loved it.
Maguire dancing?
Bro, that was the best thing ever, man. I loved emo Spider-Man. I love emo Spider-Man. Emo Spider-Man kicked ass. Fight me. I loved emo Spider-Man. Um, but no, Eddie Brock and Venom, absolutely one of my all-time favorite villains. And so, really cool design for him. He's two in a black for a human hero villain, which I think is really cool to see. As Venom isn't always just evil, right? He's not
Yeah.
always just pure villainous. He's an anti-hero. We've seen him go through all kinds of changes, like with the Sony films and stuff. You can see he's a little more in that gray area, right? He
Kind of
wants to
like
try to do
Deadpool.
good, but in a sense, yeah, he's like a very serious Deadpool. He will eat the villain's brain, like he'll eat the bad guy's brains,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So when Eddie Brock enters, right, he's a 3-drop 3/3, which is good. And when he comes into play, you can return a creature with mana value 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is a very interesting ability to give him,
Yeah.
I think. I'm not sure what they're referencing with that one. It's a bit unique. I think it's to kind of say like he wants to protect the little guy in his thing, because like Eddie comes from like he's a reporter, sort of for the Bugle, but he's like it's like that underdog style guy, right? He
Yeah.
he wants to look out for the little guy. He wants to help out those that maybe some others won't. Like most superheroes are, too occupied with the big bad evil guy threat. Even Spider-Man has typically gone away from doing that in the later films. Like he's always more so taking on big galactic threats. So Eddie Brock kind of just walking the slums here trying to look out for little folk, which is good. And then for 3 and Jund, you transform him into Venom Lethal Protector. There's a 5/5 with Menace Trample Haste. When he attacks, you may sacrifice another creature, and if you do, you draw X cards, and then you may put a permanent with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is a sacrificed creature's mana value.
Interesting.
Pretty good. We like playing free shit.
Yeah. So, we also got some other random stuff. We did get a Craven the Hunter card. He's on the board now. 1 Golgari for a 4/3 with Trample. And he reads, whenever a creature an opponent controls with the greatest power among creatures that player controls dies, draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Craven the Hunter. A lot of words for
It's
a
pretty
very
good.
simple ability. Kill your opponent's biggest creature, throw some counters.
I think they captured the essence of that character
Yes.
perfectly, though, as Craven will always only go after the biggest game, right? He doesn't care about, you know, little weaklings. He only ever wants the biggest and the baddest. So,
I mean,
I think they captured his essence very well.
yeah. The
Would
other
have been nicer
two,
if he got bigger.
yeah, that'd be nice. The other two that I did see that piqued my interest is Electro Assaulting Battery.
Oh yeah, I saw that one
2
earlier.
red for a 2/3 with flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, add red. When he leaves the battlefield, you may pay X. When you do, he deals X damage to target player.
Yeah,
That's pretty fucking sweet.
Did you want Omnath in red? Because here's Omnath in red.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is Electro is going to be good in a lot of Spellslinger decks. People are going to run him in a plethora of Storm style
Oh my god.
Essence decks. He's going to pop off. It's I love effects like that. It's going to be good.
Yeah, and then we got Sandman. We're talking about our love of landfall. Well,
Yep.
he's a land matters commander, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
1 and 2 green for star. His power toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. and he can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
Makes
Not a
sense.
horrible card.
That's good.
We did get a J. Jonah Jameson card. 2 and a red for a 2/2 human citizen. When he enters, suspect up to 1 target creature. A suspected creature has menace and can't block. Whenever a creature you control with menace attacks, create a treasure token. That's funny
I love this
as
guy.
hell. It could be
I love
pretty
Jameson.
good.
He's a menace. We did forget to mention that Sandman can come back from the grave.
Oh, yes.
You can pay 3 and 2 green, and you can return Sandman and a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Yes.
So if you're playing a landfall deck that sacks lands and does land stuff from the graveyard, he might be a good include.
Oh, yeah. You also have some... you got Gwenum Remorseless.
Yep.
3 and 2 black for a 4/4 symbiote Spider-Man. She has Death Touch and Lifelink, and she reads, whenever she attacks until end of turn, you may look at the top card of your library and anytime, and you may play cards from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. Okay.
That is very good. A nice little extra bolus of Citadel effect.
Yeah.
Which is good. I think she's also a mana cheaper
Mm-hmm.
than the Citadel. Citadel, I think it's 6 mana. She's only 5. She does have to attack to let you do it for just that turn. However, I do think that's still a good effect there. We did also get Mysterio.
Yes, we did.
The Master of Illusion, which I think some of our buddies here were a little bit disappointed with Mysterio Master of Illusion. So he's 3 in the blue, human villain 3/3. That when he enters, you make a 3/3 blue illusion villain creature token for each non-token villain you control. And then you exile those when Mysterio leaves the play. Or leaves the battlefield.
I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of this card. I wouldn't make
if you have a
deck out of
way,
them.
I wouldn't put him in the command zone either. Maybe in the 99 of a villain centered deck.
Like, I mean, I would rather put
Maybe.
Doc Ock Master Planner.
Yeah, like you could run Doc Ock and then you could have Mysterio as part of like that Sinister Six, like, you know, like the roster of villains of Spider-Man. If you want to run all of them, you could run like Green Goblin as the commander, and then you could just put all the villains. I think most of the villains are in those colors of Grixis.
Yeah.
For the most part, except for like Sandman and Kraven.
I mean,
and a couple others, but for the most part, they're all in those colors.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if I somehow get my hands on a Norman Osborn and the Peter Parker one, I will be building them both up.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn, it will be the Sinister Six. I'll put Electro in there. I'll put Doc Ock, all those guys.
That would be good.
But
I might do something with the Eddie Brock.
I
was waiting to see a flip transformation card of him, so that's
honestly,
I think Eddie got done dirty. Eddie got done so dirty in those films.
Yeah.
And I do like the Sony ones. I haven't seen the last one of the Sony films. I gotta watch that at some point. I know it's on Netflix, I think. I gotta watch
the
newest one they
believe it
made.
is.
I did love seeing Carnage though with Woody Harrelson
Yes.
being Carnage. That was so good. That was man, I love that. I might rewatch that one. That was so good. Because I do like Carnage. We do have a Carnage here.
Yep.
Which is very sweet. As it's 2 in a red and black, which we did already see this one kind of spoiled a little bit. But we have a clearer picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a clear version of it. So it's a trample 4/3 that when he enters, you can return a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it gains this creature attacks each combat if able. And when this creature does combat damage to a player, you sacrifice it. And Carnage himself has Mayhem for a black and a red. So that's pretty good, which we know Mayhem is, you can cast a card from your
Oh,
graveyard for its Mayhem if you discarded it this turn. So,
Yeah.
if you happen to have, if you happen to discard Carnage, then you can do that, which I guess means that Carnage can't be your commander then, to use its Mayhem ability.
You would probably have to put him in another deck.
Yeah, maybe like Cameron Osborne or something. Since that deck seems to be caring about discarding cards and then casting them for their Mayhem cost. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
So
It's a little odd. I kind of like the, I would have preferred something with, like, equipment with him, since he can, his whole thing is turning his body into, like, various weapons of mass murder and chaos. I would have liked to have seen him do something along those lines, but, hey, we got a cool Eddie Brock, so I'm happy with that.
exactly, Eddie Brown.
I'm content.
So we're gonna leave it off at spoilers today.
That's all we got.
We did get a bunch of Avatar stuff.
We're
holding that off.
Avatar's too soon.
Yeah.
Avatar's coming out too soon.
Yeah,
They're doing that a little too early.
Yeah, we'll hold off on talking about that because I know Jack and I both have our thoughts on the different bending techniques. Both being huge Avatar fans.
Yeah.
We will talk about that next
Fire
time.
Nation for life.
We'll talk about that next time. But as always, I am Kava.
This has been Jack.
Like
and sub if you like it or don't.
We'll catch you guys all next time. Take care.
See ya.